My name is Brandy and I live free every day. Brandy is a girl from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. I have some of the greatest parents in the whole wide world who are pastors. I have a sister and a brother who are also in ministry, and our whole family is in ministry, and that's a very unique quality. I'm extremely a hard worker, creative person, and I love young people. That's the thing that gives me life anytime I get to work with a young person. Well, I think majority of my entire life, my parents got saved when I was 2, so I've always had God, and I've always been in church, but my own personal relationship with God started when I was 8 years old. And I remember being in the living room and accepting Christ in the living room, and I was really, really excited as an 8-year-old to have Jesus in my life. And my whole life has been between church and prayer and just understanding God and, who he really is. Yeah, I think all of us go through a period of time. One thing about me, I love God with everything in me. And I'm a person who is very conscious if I do anything wrong. And that's in God, outside of God. That's just how I grew up. Very accountable to my actions because I understand that actions have consequences. And there was a time in college, my graduating year, that I just really felt outside of God just by my actions. And those are some things that I had to deal with, and it was a very hard period of time. But getting back into God, those are the things. That was the thing that saved my life. Getting back into God, because at that time, I just really wanted to give up on life. I wanted to give up on everything, and I had really got angry with God. I got mad at God, and it wasn't God's fault. It was my fault for my actions. But when I really got into God and I understood about forgiveness and self-forgiveness, then it all worked itself back out. Oh, most definitely. Anytime that you do anything outside of the will of God, you're always going to feel like you're bound to something. And Paul talks about it in Romans. And when you become bound to that thing, it's only through deliverance that you get set free from that thing. So like the scriptures tell you, who the Son sets free is free indeed. And until I got freedom from it, then that's when the chains broke off. But until then, you're tied. You feel like you're tied to that thing and you're weighted down with the thing. It took a lot of prayer. I think a lot of prayer, a lot of fasting, a lot of searching within myself. I remember I shut everything down. I shut everybody down. I didn't want to hear from anybody. I just needed that time. And I had a lot of people praying for me until I could get to the point where I understood not only God's forgiveness to me, but my self-forgiveness. That's when I got full deliverance. Oh man, it's the greatest thing in the world. And you can always tell the difference when you are living in the will of God and you are in right standing with God. There's a different freedom you get to live in. Not saying that you won't have problems or you don't have things that are going on in your life or struggles or situations and circumstances. But when you know that you're in God and you're living for God, there's a different feel that you have. There's a different comfort that you have, and there's a different anointing that you possess when you know like you are in the will of God and doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing for him and with him. Game Changers 180 is so dear to my heart. I've been in athletics for over 23 years, and I've been in sports ministry for at least 19 years. So starting Game Changers 180 was just with one NFL player and their family. And our main mission is to impact the lives of pro, college, and high school athletes through service and support. And a lot of people don't understand how to serve people. And if you don't know how to serve people, you don't know how to give to people. And that's the greatest thing about Game Changers, because we give Christ to athletes in their language, to where they can come to know Christ in a fun way in their language and understand it. And it's the greatest thing in the world. And I thank God for it, because he allows me to do ministry outside of the 4 walls. He allows me to do ministry as a female in a male-dominated arena. And I'm just always in awe of the things that I get to accomplish just by working with athletes themselves. I live every day free, knowing that God's grace is sufficient for me.